every meeting. I had no clue as to who he was until one day he told me he was Judge Jones's son.
Judge Jones is an icon in the black community of Brooklyn, and to see David, who got a lot of his, you can tell, he got a lot of his grounding from the judge.
The thing that impressed me the most, and it really did impress me quite a lot, was that after many years running CSS as it was when he inherited and doing a very good job and being considered pretty successful, he began to realize that the world was starting to change, and he said that we have to change as well.
My favorite memories of David are when he's really mad. And when he really gets mad, he's also clear, he's smart, he's focused.
Yeah, David can get riled up. I mean, he because he feels passionately, and he feels passionately about the issues he's working on, but about the pain in the communities that we all are trying to serve.
I have found that whether we're dealing with the issue of poverty, unemployment, sick, aged, kids, education, I kind of think that there's a spiritual connection with it where we have obligations to do these things.
To me, he's one of the people I think of with the greatest amount of integrity that I know.
When he talks about the problem of poverty in New York, you know that he has studied it, he has experienced it, he has been able to set up programs that really work.
David has been out front, even when it got him in trouble, on issues that were facing the city that no one wanted to deal with, caring about the homeless before it was in.
There are few people in the city of New York who can speak so directly and so personally about the plight of disconnected young people, about the plight of mostly black and Latino, but other people who are just pouring out, of not being able to be connected to either the schooling system or the workforce. That consciousness is created when David Jones stands up and says, we have to do something about this cadre of people now.
Priests and imams and ministers and rabbis, they do it rhetorically. We do it with legislation. David does it right in the middle in bringing those ideals into legislation.
So when people say about David Jones that he's the conscience of the city, I would agree with that completely.
David Jones is a mensch.
He's a character.
David Jones gets it.
David Jones is effective.
David Jones is integrity.
If you have something that makes a lot of sense, he can help you find a way to communicate it.
There is no one more effective than David Jones in speaking about the issues confronting the city, the issues of disconnected youth, of kids in poverty.
He's made Community Service Society an organization that serves the community, all the community, not just a piece of the community, but all the community. And his dedication is always with integrity.
There is no bigger champion for David Jones than Steve Krause.
Steve is a perfect complement to David, because David remains calm, Steve doesn't.
Steve provides the operational support for people like David Jones to be able to lead. But without that kind of operational support, and without the buffer that Steve creates, David Jones's job will be a lot more complicated.
Steve and David are two sides of the coin, if you will. I mean, I think that had they not met many, many years ago and had not, developed this partnership in effect that they've had, I think both of them would be less effectual. He's a real New Yorker, which is what I kind of like about him too. From the moment he opens his mouth, I mean, just the way he acts and the fact that he cares so much about what's going on here. He's a real New Yorker.
What CSS does is bring an independent voice with clear and hard information and facts and a moral integrity. They bring that voice to the discussion, and when they are a part of it, then we're heard better.
I think more than almost anything else, what CSS brings to the issue of poverty in New York is this ability over a long period of time to really study what's the trends, what's happening, and be able to forecast where it's going in the future.
An incredible array of interconnected, multidisciplinary approaches to deal with the intractable problems of poverty.
Not just a passionate advocate, but they have done the hard work of identifying, doing the research, pulling the numbers, and bringing real facts to bear so that we're not just thinking in the abstract about these problems, but we have tangible goals to work toward in the city.
They have the credibility. You don't have to do a lot of research. If CSS says they had a study and they researched it, you can differ with the results, but you don't challenge the people who've done the report. It's invaluable.
The Community Service Society quickly saw the intersection with the work that we were doing, as we saw with them, and we began to put together a plan to work together to make a difference. And we actually have made a huge difference because of the work that Community Service Society did and our efforts and the workers themselves. 10,000 workers have joined the union and have been able to improve their life standards.
The question is, how do we work together as a city? The clear message, a non-ideological message really based on the facts, has penetrated the business community, and that business is eager to work with CSS and embraces the opportunity to support their very important mission.
David Jones green-lighted a project that I've always wanted to work on, and that is the intersection between poverty and mass incarceration. It is one thing to advocate for the poor. It is one thing to advocate for the marginalized. It is quite another thing to advocate for the poor, the marginalized, who also happen to have a criminal history. David Jones gets it.
How many lives have been affected because CSS went out on a voter registration drive? That it restored names of people that were deliberately, politically knocked off of the ballot. How did people feel when they were restored and they went around bragging to their kids that they voted?
It was a lawsuit that we worked on at CSS that forced the Department of Labor to implement what's called the National Voter Registration Act and provide voter registration opportunities for people when they apply for unemployment insurance benefits.
Now that they have city limits under their belt, they're also an organization that is really educating people and keeping in touch with a broad population in the city, keeping them informed on what's happening in communities that are often out of sight and out of mind, particularly for the mainstream media.
People are now recognizing, one, how important a voice like City Limits is in the community, but I think also people are recognizing that CSS stepped up to do it.
If they can take statistical data as to the cost that it is financially to ignore the vulnerable and the lesser among our brothers and sisters, then those are the seeds that our great country need now more than ever.
In my 35 years working in the labor movement, they're one of the most effective organizations I've worked with. And I don't hear that much out there. I truly believe they're one of the best organizations I've ever worked with.
I don't remember ever thanking Stephen Krause and David Jones and the Community Service Society for the work that they do.
David and Steve, I'd like to thank you for being my friend. I want to thank you for the work that you've been doing for CSS over the past 25 years.
David and Steve, I want to congratulate you on your 25 years. You've done incredible work. You deserve all the praise that anyone can shower on you. I want to be part of that. I hope you're around for another 25 years.
Congratulations to David and to Stephen for your 25 years of service to CSS, and beyond that for the additional years that you have spent serving the city of New York and will going forward.
Felicidades, both David and Steve, for your silver anniversary, 25 years of excellent work at Community Service Society. You've made Community Service Society an important voice in the city of New York. To both of you, thank you so much. From many of us who've reaped the benefits of the excellent work that the Community Service Society has done.
Congratulations.
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 For all of us in the city. Gracias.
On behalf of the city of New York and people that have been in need, you've been their best friend, and I want to publicly thank all of you for the work that you do.
The Community Service Society.
Fighting poverty.
Fighting poverty.
Strengthening.
Strengthening New York.